Zach Cox here with Dakota Randall at First Energy Stadium after the Patriots defeated the Cleveland Browns 38-15. A win that pulls the Patriots back to 500 on the season's second consecutive win for the Bailey Zappe-led Patriots. Now, I think going into this game, a lot of people would say, all right, the key to victory for the Patriots in this game, run the ball well. The Patriots run the ball well. The Cleveland Browns do not stop the run very well. But it really didn't play out that way. The Patriots, outside of one long touchdown run by Ramondre Stevenson, really didn't have much success on the ground in this game. But they had a lot of success through the air. Bailey Zappe really built on last week's impressive start with an even more impressive performance today. Over 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Did have one lost fumble, but that was more the fault of Isaiah Wynn than the fault of Bailey Zappe. What would you see from Bailey Zappe out here today?
Yeah, I think he was impressive. I mean, I certainly think the Zappe fever thing isn't going to go anywhere. It's probably going to get even more intense this week. But I agree with you. Going into this game, I expected a huge day for Ramondre Stevenson. He did, I think, finish with 76 yards, 2 touchdowns, one of them in garbage time. But to your point, wasn't really the dominating performance that we expected. And on the other side, you thought the Browns, if nothing else, would be able to get a lot of success against the Patriots on the ground game, especially once we learned that Lawrence Guy would be out of this game. And also, if you told me that Christian Barmore would leave before halftime and not come back, I'd say, Nick Chubb's going to have a big day, Kareem Hunt as well, and it's going to be a lot of rushing yards for both teams. But the Patriots front seven had their best performance of the season, I would say. The defense as a whole did really well, held the Browns to 4 of 15 on third downs. Jacoby Brissett and the Browns offense really didn't do much until the end. A lot of garbage time, yards and points there. But for the Patriots and Zappe, I think the thing that really stood out for me is it looked like the Patriots have more confidence in him now that he has 2 starts in the game in Green Bay, at moving the ball down the field, throwing the ball down the field, being more aggressive. It wasn't as many checkdowns or short plays as we saw last week. They really went after it a little bit more. And so, yeah, they have more confidence in him. And I think it's warranted because he's playing well. He's playing mistake-free. And he's doing a good job. You can't really take anything away from him at this point.
You've seen it consistently build, too, over these 3 appearances that he had.
He's got a little bit better every week.
Yeah, it was a very limited playbook, as you would expect when he came in place of Brian Hoyer in that game in Green Bay a couple weeks ago. And saw a little bit of expansion last week against Detroit. And then that continued here today, and his numbers and productivity rose with that. I really like the way he spread the ball around today, too. 5 different Patriots players finished with 4 catches. 4 players had more than 60 receiving yards, and none of them had more than 65. So it was a really balanced effort by this whole Patriots passing game. Wasn't really the case last week when it was really heavily reliant on Jacoby Myers and Hunter Henry to a lesser extent. So I think it's hard to really find too many negatives from Bailey Zappe the way he's played through these 3 games. Obviously, it hasn't been perfect. Obviously, he hasn't been flawless out there, and rewatching the tape, I'm sure the Patriots will find plays that he left on the field or plays where he didn't really do exactly what he should have done and maybe what a more kind of seasoned veteran quarterback would have done. But just watching him play, he's not making the dumb, obvious, glaring rookie mistakes that a lot of young players in his situation you would expect them to make. And he's turned the ball over 3 times through these 2 games, and all 3 of those you can reasonably say weren't his fault. He has 2 strip sacks where Isaiah Wynn was beaten around the edge by a star edge rusher, and the interception last week that came off a Nelson Aguilar drop. So it's not quite mistake-free football, but it's pretty close.
Yeah, and I think if you would have told me going into the start of the Bailey Zappe era that after what we saw during training camp in the preseason, where it was interceptions and hospital balls all throughout training camp, 1 interception in every preseason game, if you would have told me that by the end of his first 3 games that he wouldn't have thrown any interceptions, I don't count the Nelson Aguilar one last week, that was more an Aguilar, that he really wouldn't have any glaring interceptions, I would have been stunned. And so I think that's a testament to the way he's played. Conservative play calling the first 2 games has something to do with it, but I think the Patriots coaching staff deserves a ton of credit for the way that they've managed him and brought him along. And it's been impressive. And again, a lot of people want to poke holes in the Zappe fever thing, and I get all that, but you can't take anything away from him at this point. He's done everything that they could have asked from him and more.
And then the question now going into next week is going to be who will start for the Patriots against the Chicago Bears. Rather, they have 8 days to make that decision because that's a Monday night game. We saw Mac Jones was here in Cleveland for this game. He was on the field during pregame, doing a little bit of kind of light warm-ups. I would say he wasn't going through his normal pregame routine routine with the stretching and all that.
He was also on his feet a bit on the sideline after touchdown drives, getting off the bench and moving around. So he wasn't just sitting there all day.
He's shown clear and obvious improvement over these last 3 weeks as he comes back from that high ankle sprain. Based on the trajectory that we've seen from him, just from an outsider's perspective, it seems like there is a decent to good chance that he'll be medically able to play against the Bears in that game. And then it's going to be a question of, do you even want to put him out there at that point? And me, right now, in this moment, I'm saying no. I'm saying give him another week, rest him up with as well as Bailey Zappe has played and as poorly as the Chicago Bears have played this season. That's a game that the Patriots should win, regardless of who's at quarterback.
Yep.
No need to really bring Mac Jones back out there. I'm not ready to say that Bailey Zappe's taken his job or anything like that, but give the guy another week to rest. I feel like it's really a no-lose situation, just keeping him out for another week.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think the tea leaves all point toward Mac Jones being ready next week. He was ruled out on Friday the first week, and then he was ruled out, I believe, on Saturday the second or last week, and then today, kind of a game time decision.
We went from out to doubtful to questionable.
Yeah, it's just been going in that same way, and so it certainly seems like he's trending in that direction. But I agree with you. I don't think the Patriots should have any issue with the Bears next week. Don't take any chances with it. Again, as we've seen, the right tackle situation still hasn't been figured out. The last thing you want to do is put Mac Jones out there, even against a bad Bears team, and have him get sacked on the right side or get knocked around. You don't want that. Give him another week to heal. You'd have to feel confident that Bailey Zappe can get the job done next week. So I agree with you. I would not put Mac Jones out there, but we'll see.
That, again, will be the number one storyline in Patriots land for the next 8 days. Again, the final score here today, Patriots 38, Browns 15. The win brings the Patriots back to 3-3 on the season. They're back to 500 after their 1-3 start. And I think the trajectory for them, like their quarterbacks, seems to be trending up.